watching Karate Kid Legends. So this is the second week that it was out. I did plan on going to watch the first week, but some stuff came up, so I ended up watching it this weekend. But this this movie was pretty good. So I'm gonna be giving you my review and my overall thoughts on the movie, and I will be spoiling the movie and going into detail. So if you haven't watched it or you don't want to be spoiled, here's your spoiler warning. So the movie's pretty good. I did enjoy having Jackie Chan and Ralph Macchio in the same movie. It was really cool. Um, Jackie Chan was always is always funny. So he was probably the highlight of the movie. Um, this new character was good. I enjoyed him. He not only can convey the emotion, but he also is pretty good at martial arts. So he sold every aspect of his character very well. Um, and overall, I felt like the pacing of the movie was very quick and very fast paced, which I enjoyed for the most part. I do feel like the final fight could have been slowed down a little bit because I feel like throughout the whole movie, pretty much all the different fights were like montages, um, which I or like all the training and the fights for the most part were just all montage. Um, but I did enjoy it overall. I think the pace really worked pretty good, except for mainly that last fight. I feel like could have benefited from being slowed down a little bit because we only really get to see like one fight each for our character and I forgot what the other guy's name is, the guy with the ponytail, the bad guy or whatever. Um, and um, and then we get to see the final fight between the two, which even with that, like it has to go up to 8 points for each. They showed like the first 2 or 3 points for each of them, and then they sort of like sped it up, and then went to the final point. So I felt like that final whole sequence could have been slowed down just a little bit. Um, but I really enjoyed it, and I think in some ways I did like that they sped up the final fight because we all pretty much know it's going to be the final two is going to be our good guy versus a bad guy. So we don't want to sit here and watch, 10 fights when we pretty much already know. And what we want is the bad guy and good guy fight at the end anyway. So I feel like that's a good move, but yet it should have been a little bit slowed down because we only really seen like one fight for each of them. And then mainly the final fight. If you're gonna fast forward through, sort of montage through those fights to get up to the final, you need to make the final longer, more dramatic, and more drawn out a little bit, rather than you speed through all the other fights and sort of speed through the final fight as well. Um, there was some things like I did enjoy where our character was training the girl's dad so that he could go and fight and try and win the money in that like underground fight ring or whatever it was. I don't know what that was for sure. Um, I feel like that was sort of I enjoyed that, but I feel like it sort of I don't know, like it started to go in one direction with that, and then it sort of took another turn to where when Jackie Chan showed up and he started training them for that fight. So it felt like almost two different narratives intertwined to where they started going one way and then they decided to go towards the more legends type where they have Jackie Chan and Ralph Macchio in it. But overall, I think they did a good job of sort of intertwining those to where you have him sort of as a trainer to begin with, our main character, and then he becomes the trainee. Well, sort of back and forth, um, but I do feel like it got a little cluttered to where you have that girl's father being sort of a mentor to him, when they were talking and stuff about his brother's death in the pizza place, and then you have um, Jackie Chan's character sort of being a mentor, and then you have Ralph Macchio's character coming in to be a little bit of a mentor. So it's like you have three different people that are trying to mentor him, which sort of gets a little bit crowded a little bit. But I feel like they did it in a pretty good way where it wasn't over overkill, if that makes sense. Um, but it sort of took away from each character, if that makes sense, to where like instead of giving all the emotional and all the sort of mentorship to like Jackie Chan's character, they sort of split it a little bit between the different characters to where it wasn't overwhelming altogether, but it sort of diluted each connection, if that makes sense. But overall, I really like this movie quite a bit. I really enjoy the Jackie Chan um, elements in this movie. I think is the shining star or the bright spots for me. Jackie Chan's always funny, always hilarious. His action and choreography and his fight scenes are awesome. Um, and the fight scene where I really wish I could remember the main character's name. But where he sort of saves the girl's dad from the thugs or whatever is probably my favorite scene in the whole movie. The the fight choreography is awesome. It reminds me of some of the stunts and stuff that Jackie Chan would do. Um, but yeah, I think that was my favorite scene in the whole movie. It was just really fun, but also really cool fight scene. So I really enjoyed that a lot. And um, yeah, I feel like they could have given. I don't know. I feel like the movie moved at such a good pace or such a fast pace to where like it was entertaining, but I felt like it could have benefited from being slowed down just a little bit in certain parts to where we could get a little more character development, and a little more backstory. And with Daniel LaRusso coming to New York to mentor, and maybe um, we could have learned a little more about Miyagi and Jackie Chan's character, their backstory. We heard just like a little bit, basically that they knew each other, and that's pretty much all we really got to know. Um, but I wish they would have explained that a little bit more. Um, yeah, but I really enjoyed this movie. It was fun. I enjoyed it. It had a very good balance between heart, um, heart, action, comedy, and nostalgia, I guess I would say. Um, but I really enjoyed it quite a bit. Um, if I had to give it a rating from 1 to 10, um, I'd give it probably a 7.8. It's pretty good. I liked it quite a bit. Um, it was fun. I enjoyed it. Some of the character development could have been a little bit better, and the pacing could have been slowed down a little. But I would rather a movie be too quick and move too fast like this. Well, I wouldn't say too fast, but in some parts too fast, than for it to drag on, because then I get bored and I get sick of the movie. Rather than a faster pace is more entertaining and I enjoy it more. That said, it could have benefited from slowing down in certain points just a little bit to provide a little more character development and maybe a little more explanation in certain parts. But that being said, 7.8, that's pretty good. Um, so let me know what you guys thought of this movie if you've seen it. And if you haven't seen it, I recommend going to see it, especially if you're a Karate Kid fan. Um, it did hit some of the similar beats of a lot of the other Karate Kid movies. You know, there's a bully, you fight him in a tournament, you win, type of deal. Um, but I feel like it had a little bit of its own twist to it with him, our main character, sort of training the girl's dad a little bit. Um, I sort of wish they would have followed that storyline a little bit more, um, but it did hit some of the similar beats, but it did have a little bit of its own sort of twist to it. Yeah, so I enjoyed this movie. I hope they make another movie with Jackie Chan and Ralph Macchio and this new character. I think that would be. I would probably go watch that one. Um, yeah, so thank you guys for watching, and please like and subscribe if you haven't already.